Morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, our valued attendees and guests. My name is Fouad Mazhar. I'm a networking solution specialist working for E.C.I Networks. Welcome to our highly anticipated webinar, Unleash the Power of Open Networking with SONiC. This webinar is hosted by E.C.I Networks, and we are delighted to have you with us today as we dive into the potential of open networking and the innovative capabilities that SONiC brings to the forefront. At E.C.I Networks, we're really committed to pushing the boundaries of technologies and providing cutting-edge networking solutions to our clients to achieve unparalleled performance and flexibility. Our dedication to embrace the latest advanced in the industry, ensuring that we deliver the best possible outcomes to our customers as well as our partners. Today's webinar is a testament to our commitment, and we are honored to have a distinguished guest speaker who embodies the spirit of innovation and expertise. Kamran Naqvi, the Chief Network Architect at Broadcom, will be sharing his invaluable insight on SONiC and its revolutionary impact on open networking. Kamran's extensive experience and visionary perspective make him the perfect guide for this journey into the future of networking. But before we dive into Kamran's presentation, I would like to take a moment to thank you all for joining us, and I will go through a quick overview of E.C.I Networks for the people who don't know E.C.I and what's our vision. Your participation is crucial in making this event a success, and we encourage you to engage, ask questions, and make the most of this opportunity to learn from one of the industry's leading experts. So I'm going to start my presentation. I hope that you can see my screen. If not, please let us know in the Q&A. I will start with the agenda. Basically, I'm going to go through an overview of E.C.I Networks and open networking. Then after that, I will hand it off to Kamran, who's going to cover the Broadcom and open networking. He will touch up on the SONiC architecture and the ecosystem of SONiC, why SONiC is important today as a network operating system in most networks, whether it's a large network or commercial or small network. He will also go through some use cases for SONiC and talk about telemetry, not any telemetry, the silicon-enabled telemetry and the artificial intelligence in networking. And after Kamran's presentation, I'll come back and actually explain what's our engagement with Broadcom and what kind of services do we provide for the Broadcom SONiC. And then we'll open the floor for questions and answers, and hopefully we'll have time for that. Now, E.C.I Network is a solution integrator. We started our journey about 15 years ago, and we started as a connectivity solution manufacturer. So we manufacture our own optics, cables and taps and muxes. But talking about optics, we cover optics from any kind of speed and any kind of flavor, starting from the 100 gigabits per second type of optics, all the way to 400 and 800 gigabits per second. And for example, like 1 gig, short reach, long reach, extended reach. For the 100 gig and 400 gig, we have this move on. Actually, we move on with them as well. Also, we jumped into cabling. So we provide cables and accessories also for networking. So we're talking about RJ45 cables. We carry those. DAC cables, direct attach cables for higher speed, such as SFP to SFP or SFP plus to SFP plus, SFP 28, speeds of 1 gig, 10 gig, 25, 40 gig, 100 gig, 400 gig, and beyond. Also, the MTP type of cables, the breakout cables, they're all covered, and we have them all in our warehouse as we manufacture them, and we'll deliver them very, very quickly. Also, we got into the network taps. So we manufacture our own network taps. Taps of 4 ports, 8 ports, started from 1 gig all the way to 100 gigabits per second taps, as well as BiDi taps. So I know lots of network connectivity between switches using BiDi type of interfaces, we have tabs for those too. And then we have another division, which is the open networking as a system integrator. And what we do is we select with our customer the best solution for them, the best open networking switch in terms of configuration, number of ports, the speed of ports, where it's going to be deployed, what kind of application, the chipset, the memory level, the redundancy in the switch. It's all going to be covered, and we help them in the selection process, as well as the software that runs on top of an open networking switch, just to make sure that all the features, requirements have been answered. So we work on the hardware as well as the software. But not only that, we provide professional services as well. So we partner with the customer hand in hand in the pre-staging, in the configuration, in the implementation, and the deployment of those switches in a production network. And we don't stop there. We provide support as well. So after or post-sale support is available for like 8x5 or as 24/7. And I'm going to be talking engagement with Broadcom later on after Kamran's presentation. But we also developed solution. So we developed our own network visibility solution, 100% network visibility with a package. So we have a hardware, network, and redirect the traffic to your important tools on the network, whether security tools or auditing tools or retention type of tools. That's all available. And we didn't stop there, but we created what we call an E.C.I view, which is another application to be able to test and detect latency and jitters end-to-end on any network, including 5G type of networks. Now, a little bit more about E.C.I. E.C.I network offices almost everywhere around the globe. So we have an office in Toronto. We have offices in the US, in Brazil, in Mexico, as well as in the Middle East. The Middle East covers the Middle East, Europe, as well as Africa. We have a distribution center in Hong Kong. We're very fast in delivering equipment, and we stock switches, we stock optics, we stock cables, and we deliver in days, not in months, as it is the trend now after COVID. This is a glimpse of our customers in different market segments, starting on the left by the telcos and service providers. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just to give you a glimpse of the industries that we are involved with. So from ISPs to government to education, as well as commercial and enterprise, large and small, and as well as distribution. So we work with different type of distributors, and we can cover the globe with that. At this point, I will be like now, actually, without any further ado, it is my great pleasure to pass it on to Kamran and the open networking. Kamran, the floor is yours. I'm going to stop my share, and please share your screen.
Sounds good. Okay, let's share screen. Share. And let's go in the presenter mode. There we go. Can you see my slide now, Fouad?
Yes, actually, I see your slide.
Okay, brilliant. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for taking the time and joining this webinar. And thanks to our partner, E.C.I Network, for organizing this webinar. I will be speaking for about 40 minutes. 40 minutes can be very long when a person like me speaking, who can be very non-interesting as well. So to make it more interesting, we can all help. And we can help by asking questions. So I know that this is still a type of webinar where you cannot ask question by voice, but you can ask question in the Q&A section. My colleague Fouad will be answering those questions, and I will also be from time to time, I will ask Fouad to ask me pass me on your questions, and I will try to answer them during my presentation. So let's try to make it a little bit more interactive. Okay. So I often start my presentation with this slide where I talk about a trend in IT. We saw 30 years ago, or maybe slightly longer, 35 years ago probably, we saw that the industry moved from these vertically integrated systems like Solaris or Spark machines to a more open source based systems like x86 based hardware and Linux type operating system. Today, my children, or even maybe some even younger people don't even know, have never seen those Spark and Solaris machines. The whole industry has moved to these open standard based solutions. We are seeing a similar type of transition on the networking side as well, where we see that customers are moving away from these vertically integrated routers and switches to more open solutions, merchant silicon-based hardware, and open operating systems. When it comes to merchant silicon, Broadcom is considered one of the leaders in the market. And when it comes to open source operating system, specifically for data centers, SONiC is SONiC is what is called Linux of networking by many industry analysts. So this is the solution I will be talking about today. It's a data center and campus Ethernet switching solution where switches are based on Broadcom silicon. So one thing to clarify, we at Broadcom, we do not make the switches. We make the switching silicon. Now, hardware is available from a number of vendors out there. You can see some of the names here, right? EdgeCore is probably the most popular one along with Dell, but there are other options available. And all of these can run this the open source based operating system SONiC. And we at Broadcom, we have our own distribution of SONiC. We call it Enterprise SONiC. And think of Enterprise SONiC as the Red Hat version of SONiC, in the sense that it comes with enterprise class features and enterprise class support. So this is the solution I'll be talking about today. If there is any question, you can ask in the Q&A section now, and while I continue with my presentation. Now, most people know Broadcom as a merchant silicon company. We are considered a leader in merchant silicon market. And this slide gives you an idea of why that is the case. This shows a trajectory of what we have been able to achieve over the past 12 years. That's doubling of bandwidth and performance, port density as well, every 12 to 18 months. Every 18 to 24 months, sorry. No other company in the industry has the similar track record. Most people looking at this slide can predict what will be coming later on this year. This is the track record of Broadcom. And not only that we double the bandwidth every time, we also reduce the power consumption. So power efficiency is improving, and the bandwidth and the performance of the silicon is improving at a rapid pace. Now, why I'm telling you this story, what is the benefit of an enterprise customer for this silicon, right? Most of the people on this call, you don't buy silicon. But the thing is, everybody is benefiting from this innovation in silicon. And this slide will clarify that. What you see on the left-hand side is what Facebook tried to do a few years ago, where they tried to build a 128 port of 100 gig switch. And they had to use this modular chassis with this 12 silicon to make it work. Today, you can get similar performance in a pizza box type form factor. This is the benefit of having these innovative silicon. And it not only reduces your system power. Not only it reduces your system cost, it also make your system very simple, right? When you have a simple hardware, writing software for it also becomes very simple. Because what you see on the left-hand side, the 12 silicon, making these 12 silicon work together, interoperate together in software, that's a very complicated task. That is where a lot of issues are introduced. That is where a lot of bugs are introduced. When you simplify the hardware, writing software becomes very simple. And that's one of the reasons why you see a plethora of open source operating system out there. You may have heard about Stratum from Google. You may have heard about FBOSS from Facebook, but SONiC is the one which has been getting the most traction. I suppose most people today know that SONiC was developed by Microsoft for their Azure cloud, but they made it open source in 2016, 2017 timeframe. Broadcom has been working with Microsoft on SONiC since day one. Today, SONiC is run everywhere in Azure, one of the largest network in the world. Azure is wall-to-wall running SONiC, and it's also running at many other mega scalers. We at Broadcom, with our enterprise version of SONiC, we now have hundreds of customers who have deployed this solution on tens of thousands of switches. It's all running in production. I'll give you some examples as well. So SONiC today is becoming a very mainstream operating system when it comes to data center and campus. One of the reasons why SONiC is popular is because of its architecture. You can see it on the right-hand side. It is built on a Linux base, and it has this E.C.I layer. This E.C.I layer, the switch abstraction interface layer, makes SONiC a disaggregated network operating system. It makes SONiC independent of the hardware. Well, SONiC runs with Broadcom silicon, but it can also run with Mellanox silicon or Cisco silicon or Juniper silicon or anyone else. It's a disaggregated network operating system. When you look at just the software layer, you will see that SONiC, you see it's containerized. SONiC is different from your standard OEM operating systems. It is a containerized operating system, and it gives you certain benefits. I'll highlight two benefits very quickly. Number one, it provides serviceability. Think about it. If you have an issue in, for example, the DHCP feature of your operating system, in this case, do you need to upgrade the whole operating system? Answer is no. DHCP is running in its own Docker container. It is Docker container. It is very, very fast. So you can patch it very quickly without affecting the core functionality of your switch. So that's one benefit. Another benefit, it enables extensibility. Adding new feature to SONiC is very simple. You can do that without mucking about with the base core of SONiC operating system. You may have heard, that when you use certain OEM without naming anybody, you're using there, you upgrade to the new version of their operating system and you hit an issue, you hit a bug. And that bug was because they added a new feature. You weren't even using the new feature, but because of the monolithic operating system, sometimes you get affected as well. You won't get affected with SONiC because in this case, we have this nice partitioning, right? So for example, we at Broadcom added a new management framework into SONiC. And how did we do that? We added a new container and we did all the development on that side. And with this management framework, it's a very modernized management framework. We allow access into SONiC multiple ways. You can use GNMI, you can use RESTCONF. There is a lot of open API access. And we added these OC-YANG models so you don't have to do any screen scraping or scripting. You can manage SONiC in a very easy way using whatever management platform you have. It's very standard based on open APIs. So automation is very easy with SONiC. And that's one of the reasons why many of the customers are adopting SONiC. And I'll come to that. But let me just quickly show you this slide. SONiC community around 4 years ago. But still, I'm using this slide because it still makes the point. The new community version slide will be very, very busy. But the point I'm trying to make here is that when you think about SONiC, you think about options, right? SONiC gives you options at each level, each layer. You look at the silicon providers, Yes, Broadcom is there, but you can also see our competition like Mellanox or Marvell or other people. You look at switch providers, you will see a number of names there. Edgecore is there, Dell is there, Cisco is there, Arista is there. You look at the management layer, orchestration layer, monitoring, there are multiple options. So when you think about SONiC, you think about multiple options. There is no vendor lock-in when you adopt SONiC. Think of SONiC, I often give this example. I like Apple, right? I like Apple iOS, Apple. If I want to use Apple iOS on my mobile phone, I can only do it with Apple hardware. Think of SONiC as Android. Today, you may have it on Samsung. Tomorrow, you can get a different hardware. You can still get all the same benefits. Why SONiC? But before I go there, Fouad, is there any question you want me to answer? Or shall I continue?
Yes, actually, Kamran, we have a couple of questions that maybe will I will read them for you. So what is the market for SONiC on SmartNIC and DPU in data center use cases? Is Broadcom has any plans for this?
So there are people. Yeah, it does. Yeah. So there are people. Sorry, let me just do this. Yeah. So there are initiatives which are working on it. Sorry, change the slide. We at Broadcom for Enterprise SONiC, we are not looking at supporting it on the DPU at this point, but then there are other providers who are working on it. And that's the beauty of this open source operating system. It's a large ecosystem. A lot of people are doing different things.
Yeah, thank you. And we have another question from Justin Thomas from Emerald. Hi, Kamran. What is the Broadcom schedule for releasing support for the Maverick chipset in the community SONiC codebase?
Good question. I will need to check and get back to you. Can you make a note of this question for me, Fouad?
Absolutely.
All right. We'll get back to you, Justin.
Thanks, Kamran. Thank you, Justin.
Thanks for your question, and let's continue. So why SONiC? I'm going to be a little bit quick here. These are the slides from customer's own presentation. So this is, as you can see, it's a copy paste from Comcast presentation, which they did at, I can never pronounce it properly, NANOG or NanoG forum, right? You can see the link at the bottom, where Comcast talked about why they adopted SONiC. And you will see some of these things may resonate with you. One was reduce cost. Number two, no more hostage to vendors, right? I didn't mention that. I really like their top, this first line there. This is really good. They say, what if the whole world spoke just English? And their idea is that they want to use SONiC as the language which is used by all of their use cases, right? All of their switches. So they may buy switches from vendor X, vendor Y, vendor Z, all different hardware, different silicon, but they can use the same language, same operating system. Just think about the simplicity it will bring in their large network. So these are some of the reasons for Comcast for adopting it. I'll very quickly go through some of the other ones. You see Deutsche Telekom, this is a large telco in in Germany, the largest in Europe. They deployed this solution in production. You can see why they are using this. T-Mobile talked about it, eBay, Criteo. You'll see that the common theme you will see is that people like it because they like the automation capabilities in SONiC. They like the high availability features in SONiC because they want to build their private cloud along the same line as public cloud. They want to get the same benefits in their private clouds as they can enjoy in the public cloud. They do not want any vendor lock-in. They want an open source operating system with large ecosystem of partners, so they get a lot of choice. You probably noticed some other names there who are the reference customers. They are different universities, different telcos, and private clouds, and so on. Now, what has been the Broadcom's commitment to SONiC? I mentioned to you earlier that at Broadcom, we have been working on SONiC since day one, since 2016, 2017. But our initial focus was on the SI layer to make sure our silicon works with SONiC. Since 2019, working very closely with Microsoft, we at Broadcom made a big bet on SONiC. We made a big commitment on SONiC, and we started working on the entire stack of SONiC. So not just the SI layer, but the application layer at the management layer. We hired a 200 plus software engineers team who are focused on SONiC. And this team has a lot of experience, you know, the 10 plus year expertise in NOS. And this team has not only hardened SONiC, we have enabled new use cases into SONiC. So we enabled features like, so SONiC, as the name suggests, you know, came from Microsoft. It's software for open networking in the cloud. It was very much focused on the public cloud. We made SONiC more enterprise class. We enabled features like multi-tenancy with VXLAN EVPN, right? We enabled features like flow analytics, telemetry, and we upstream those features to community. So for example, if you download Community SONiC today, close to 50% of it would be Broadcom's contribution. And we enabled something called industry standard CLI now. I really like it. I basically come from a different background. I joined Broadcom in 2019, and before that I worked for Cisco. So I had a lot of focus on the, sorry, my screen just went black. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Kamran.
Okay. All right. My computer is playing up a little bit. So yeah, so I was saying that I came from the Cisco background. And when I first looked at SONiC, I was really, you know, I was not happy. My initial thoughts were, what I have got myself into? Because my thought were, this solution is probably not sellable. Because at that time, you had one type of CLI for layer 2 configuration. I'm talking about 2019, a different type of CLI for routing. And if you wanted to configure a 4th channel, you had to go into a container and then configure it. So my idea was, oh, you know, any enterprise customer is not gonna like it, right? But with this industry standard CLI, we made it very easy, very simple for customers to adopt it. If anybody knows how to configure SONiC as well. It's that simple. And there is a commitment that we will continue to enable our new silicon for SONiC as it becomes available. What you see on the left-hand side, the pie chart, this is from a Microsoft keynote presentation, which shows that Broadcom is the largest contributor to SONiC and E.C.I community. And we are not just talking about SONiC, we are using it, right? We are practicing what we preach, or we are eating our own dog food. Broadcom, as you know, is a large company, 23 division company. We have deployed SONiC everywhere in our data centers. Today we already have over 4,000 switches which are running SONiC. And we are going to take it to 10,000 switches with the VMware acquisition as well. So we are one of the largest user of SONiC as well. And we can tell you from our experience that SONiC is ready for enterprise. Now, what are some of the use cases for SONiC? I'll go over the use cases and then I will once again ask you for any questions which are there in the Q&A section. First use case is very simple one, right? That is the underlay. That's the Azure use case. We support BGP as well as OSPF for underlay use case. The second use case is for a VMware house. Well, VMware is today a Broadcom company as well, but we have been supporting that even before VMware became Broadcom. You can use SONiC as a very good underlay for NSX. And once again, as I said, you can use either OSPF or you can use BGP as the routing protocol. In terms of orchestration, there are multiple options available, and there will be more of these options will become available given that VMware is part of Broadcom now. I think third one, this is probably the most popular use case. Multi-tenancy with VXLAN EVPN, right? You know, out of 100 customers, if I talk about 100, I would say more than 70 have deployed this use case. Very popular use case. And and once again, a very mature use case. We have been supporting it for now close to 3 years. So once again, a very mature use case and a very popular use case. Now, this use case is also becoming very popular more recently, and that is to run IP storage networking and use your fabric as a converged fabric. With that, what customers do is they run a very popular protocol for the IP storage world. That's RoCE, right? If somebody is not aware of what RoCE is, I'm not talking about the movie. I love the movie, but here I'm talking about another protocol. This is RDMA over converged Ethernet. This is basically, think of it as InfiniBand over Ethernet. But whoever was the guy who invented this name, RoCE, my salute to him, because he was a very good marketing guy, right? It is, rather than calling it InfiniBand over Ethernet, which would be a very boring acronym, he called it RDMA over Ethernet. But then he thought about it, maybe if I call it converged Ethernet, it is RoCE, and it becomes very stylish, right? So RoCE, so what is RoCE? It's some way of providing differentiated services to your storage application over your IP network. We create a lossless queue for your storage traffic. In a nutshell, that's what we're doing with RoCE. So RoCE is fully supported in Enterprise SONiC. People who have configured RoCE, they would tell you it is not an easy thing to configure. You need to create your lossless buffers. You need to create ECN. You need to configure ECN. You need to configure PFC and so on, right? What we have done with SONiC, Enterprise SONiC, is we have made it one of the simplest feature to configure. How do you enable SONiC on? How do you enable RoCE on SONiC? One command: RoCE enable enter. That's it. It's a global configuration mode command. This just one command will then enable RoCE on all the ports. All the work about lossless queues, the ECN, PFC, everything is configured as soon as you do this command. So it's very easy to configure RoCE on SONiC. Data center interconnect is the next requirement. When you build data center, you build multiple of them. There are 3 architectures popular in the industry for it: multi-pod, multi-fabric, and multi-site. We support all 3 of them. I'm not going to go in detail because most people would be aware of them, and we are just following the standards there. And we are also supporting SONiC for the campus networks as well. So this was a requirement coming from campus. Some of our customers who were using SONiC in data center, they came to us and they were like, why can't we get these benefits in the campus network? Why can't we use, all the automation investments we have done, all these, scripts we have created, or all these Ansible playbooks we have created? Many of these things we can utilize on the campus side as well. So we started supporting SONiC on the campus devices as well. For that, we had to put it on diet. We had to put it, enable certain features like MAB, like .1Q, all of these features. We also had to support things like Cisco ICE, Aruba ClearPass, etc. So we supported all those features, and SONiC is available for campus as well. There are multiple customers who have deployed it. Now I can name it because recently Walmart went to this SONiC conference recently in US, and they publicly talked about their deployment. There are multiple customers. FHDW I talked about earlier. They started with the data center and they deployed SONiC in their campus as well. So SONiC is becoming campus is becoming a very popular use case for SONiC. Okay, moving on. Telemetry. I've got 15 minutes left, and I'm entering some of my very favorite topics. So important thing will be for me to stay within time. But before I go there, is there any question for what you want to air now?
Not for the time being. Not for the time being, Kamran.
All right. Okay. So now there are multiple telemetry features in Broadcom Silicon as well as in Enterprise SONiC, but I'm just going to highlight 3 features here very quickly because they are silicon-enabled telemetry feature in Broadcom Silicon that we are exposing to all our customers through Enterprise SONiC. In-band flow analytics, or IFA, is a feature that allows you to measure hop-by-hop latency of every packet of a flow at a nanosecond accuracy. I repeat, hop-by-hop latency of every packet at a nanosecond accuracy. I'm highlighting because I recently went to a conference where one of our competitor was talking, and they recently developed a silicon, and he was saying that they can support microsecond latency, and they were saying as if it's something new. Whereas we at Broadcom have been supporting this nanosecond telemetry for a long time. So you can see the benefits you can get with Broadcom solutions. IFA is a feature which can very quickly tell you if there is an application performance issue. So please pay attention on this one. If an application performance issue is caused by the network or it is not caused by the network. It's important because remember, we are networking people. If there is any problem in IT, who is at fault by default? We are at fault, right? We are guilty until proven innocent. If there is any issue, everybody would say, oh, network is not working fine, right? My wife is a PhD, very intelligent person, much more intelligent than me, but she's not in IT. And when she's doing any work, anything, if something is not working on her computer, she'd say, oh, internet is not working. And I'm always like, darling, it can be a problem on the server side. It can be a problem or somewhere else, but network is always at fault, right? IFA is a problem, so much so that we have this term, you might have heard this term, MTTI, mean time to innocence, right? How quickly we can prove we are innocent. So IFA is a type of feature which can very quickly help you prove if you are at fault or not. So it can improve your MTTI. Many of the people built whole of the packet broker network just for this type of feature. This is the feature which is already available in Broadcom Silicon, and we are exposing it to enterprise customer through SONiC. Congestion monitoring, or BST, buffer statistics. This is a feature which you can use to understand the buffer utilization directly from silicon. This is the type of feature which can give you an indication that if there is going to be a congestion or not, because congestion often lead to packet drops. So some of our customers use this feature to do traffic engineering. They build a heat map of their network to see which side is running very hot with the buffer utilization. And if they see that that side is running really hot with buffer utilization, they move their critical applications away from that particular area. Other customers just use it as a watermark to understand their network better. But mirror on drop is my favorite feature out of the three. Mirror on drop is a feature which can give you real-time visibility into packet drop monitoring for your business critical application. Now, we all know that packet drop is not an easy problem to solve because there can be multiple reasons for packet drop, and it can happen at various points in the network. It's not an easy problem to troubleshoot, but it will impact your business critical applications. So with mirror on drop, what you do is you define what is your business critical application. You can use your 5 tuples, ACLs, etc. You define your business critical application. And what Broadcom Silicon will do with Enterprise SONiC is if a packet drop happens in any of your business critical application, when the first packet drop happens, it will mirror it and it will send you the first 128 byte. So looking at that, you can tell all the metadata, you can tell which users are impacted, which application is impacted. It will also tell you where the packet drop happened. So it will have a switch ID. You know where which switch, you may have 1,000 switches in your network. You will know exactly which switch is dropping the packet. And probably the most intelligent bit, it will tell you why the packet drop is happening. There can be a number of reasons for packet drop, but silicon exactly know why it dropped it. So it will tell you if it happened because of a missing VLAN, right, which is a configuration issue. Is it because of a VXLAN translation error? Is it because of a hardware misprogramming error? Whatever is the problem, and the latest Broadcom silicon can give you over 100 reasons. So you will have a very granular understanding of where the issue in your network is and why that issue is happening. So think about it. Even before your user started complaining about an issue, your operations team is equipped with all the information they need to very quickly fix the issue. So that is why we say mirror on drop is a feature which can reduce your root cause analysis time from weeks and days to hours or minutes. I will skip some of these slides because I want to take you to, well, maybe I can just mention this one. So remember I said IFA is very important, and I said IFA can give you this MTTI. It can help you prove that whether the network is at fault or not. Why I'm saying it with so much confidence? Look at this. IFA is in band. With IFA, we are not measuring the latency by creating some synthetic traffic, which may be taking a different path and your actual traffic is taking a different path. With IFA, we are measuring the metrics on the actual user traffic. As your traffic enters the network, we attach the IFA header to it. When this your user traffic, when it goes to the second switch, we add another metadata header on it in a cumulative manner. So now there are two headers attached. And finally, whatever is the last hop, third or the fifth, depending on whether you have super spines or not, the last hop last hop switch will attach its own metadata information, will remove all the headers and send it to your collector. And this is the information that you will be receiving from each hop. When did the packet arrive? When did it leave? What port it arrived, what queue it arrived, and whether it was congested or not. So you will have hop by hop information at a nanosecond level of the actual traffic going through the network. This is really powerful. Okay. Which takes me to another very interesting topic, which is AI networking. But before I go there, is there any question you want me to answer now, or shall I continue? Sorry, I can't hear you. You're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, yes, we do have a question.
Okay, please go on.
Actually, multiple questions. So any plans for advanced telemetry features in the community SONiC?
With community SONiC, probably not. Let me tell you why. Not because we want to take you to an island, because these are Broadcom silicon-based features, and we run embedded apps on the silicon for these features. So no. That's the only thing which we won't be able to provide.
We have another question also. While Broadcom has expertise and in-house support for SONiC, how do smaller enterprises handle challenges like limited tools, support, and learning with SONiC?
Work with one of our partners, a very able partner we have. Sorry, you were breaking up a little bit. Sorry, you were breaking up. Didn't mean to cut off. Please continue.
Yeah. So that's the question about how small enterprise can actually handle SONiC in terms of learning curve, in terms of support, and all the challenges that come with SONiC as being a new network operating system.
So I think some of this.
I will answer this question later on when.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I'll leave it to you, Fouad. So AI networking, got 5 minutes and I've got a very interesting topic. I recently did a presentation on this topic. It was 30 minutes, right, at the OCP Regional Summit in Lisbon. So if you just Google it, you'll find my presentation. But I'm just going to give you a brief glimpse of it. We've been doing networking for many, many years, right? We believe we have a very mature networking model. But look at this graph from this pie chart from Meta, which they presented a couple of years back at OCP. They said networking is the bottleneck in our AI infrastructure. This pie chart shows the time spent in networking. And these are all different GPU workloads. And you can see that for some of them, 57% of the time is spent in networking, which means that for 57% of the time, GPU are waiting for networking to complete their job. If you add up all of them and you get an average, you will see that on average, 35% of the time was being spent in networking for Meta, which means 35% of the time GPUs were sitting idle and waiting for networking to complete its job. Networking is not the most expensive item in an AI infrastructure, but networking costs a lot more if it is not done right. But I think the important question for us is why networking? We have built these networks for a long, long time. We have these large cloud networks. What is different about these AI workloads that networking is failing so bitterly? The answer is a lot of things. AI workloads are quite different and they have different requirements. And I will very quickly make 3 points and move on. Point number 1, compare it to cloud computing. With cloud computing, you have small packets, small flows, and you have thousands of machines talking to each other. With AI workloads, you have very high bandwidth traffic, very, very large flows, which means the communication between two GPUs lasts for a very, very long time. Sometimes for weeks, the communication is ongoing when these training jobs are going. And they are elephant flows. And there are very small number of flows, which means you have less entropy. What happens when you have small entropy, when you do not have a lot of variety? Answer is you are not able to do proper load balancing. When you are not able to do proper load balancing, you are not properly utilizing your network bandwidth. Definitely the performance will suffer. Number 2, these RDMA flows, they are very sensitive to packet drops because they run algorithms for retransmission. They run algorithms like go back N or go back 0, which means when one packet drop happen, the retransmission is a lot of packets, right? So which means that even one packet drop would result in a large number of packets being retransmitted, which means the time spent in communication phase is long. And number 3, tail latency is very, very important for these workloads. What happens with AI is, if you see on this graph, what I'm showing here is 3 different GPUs, right? If you see the first one completed its job, at this point, hopefully you can see the cursor. The second, this yellow one completed its job at this point, but they did not start the next cycle. Remember, in AI workloads, you need to do a iteration, cyclic version, cyclic communication and computation before you get the results. The whole job is completed when the last GPU completed its work, its job. And now everybody restarted the next iteration, which means that one slow flow will slow down everybody. So this tail latency is the killer for AI workloads. So we need to have our networks tuned for these type of requirements. And I don't have time to go in detail about these problems. There are certain points, there are certain factors in network which cause all of the problems that I mentioned earlier. And at Broadcom, we have 2 solutions to cater for these requirements. What you see, one is based on Jericho 3 AI. Once again, I'm naming a silicon, and the right-hand side is based on Tomahawk 5. This is the one that we support with SONiC. And we have, with Tomahawk 5, we support 51.2 terabit throughput. So there is a lot of throughput that we support with this silicon. The switches based on this silicon are already shipping for the last many months. Many of our competitors are now coming up with a 51.2 terabit silicon. They're announcing it. Their products won't be available until next year, whereas we have been shipping it for some time. So we are a generation ahead of our competition when it comes to high bandwidth. My time is almost over, so I'll just mention that a lot of new features we have developed on Enterprise SONiC are targeted as AI networking, things like adaptive routing, things like advanced hashing, so you can do better load balancing. I already talked about Rocky, and we do not support, generally do not support multi-tenancy in the Tomahawk line of family with Enterprise SONiC, but because of the AI workload requirements, we are supporting VXLAN for Tomahawk 5 silicon in SONiC as well. There was a notion until a couple of years back that probably because of its history in HPC environment, InfiniBand will be a dominant technology for networking for AI workload. But now it has been proven. Ethernet beats InfiniBand every day of the week and twice on a Sunday when it comes to AI workload, right? You can see this slide. Ethernet is at least 10% better than InfiniBand when we talk about AI workloads. And that is why you will see Ethernet is used everywhere. It is the de facto AI network standard. All the mega scalers that you see here have built their AI workloads based on Ethernet. So if you want to buy this open networking solution, how you can do that, Fouad will talk more about it. But this is the complete solution with orchestration, with monitoring. You can buy the hardware and software, everything from our partner from E.C.I network. Level 1 and level 2 support comes from the partner, but level 3 support comes from Broadcom. We stand behind this solution. We assure you this will work. If you want to try this solution, talk to E.C.I network. There is a virtual SONiC option as well that you can run on your computers, like with GNS3 or whatever. You can do a proof of concept as well. Fouad will talk more about it. I have a YouTube channel called Love to Network. If you want to know more, there was a question about how do we learn it. One of the options is just Google Love to Network and you will find my channel, and you will see that configuration with SONiC is fairly simple. With these remarks, I will leave you in the capable hand of Fouad. Thank you very much.
Left. So I'm going to share my screen one more time, and actually I will which will answer the questions that we have in pending. So and thank you for mentioning the support. Basically, this is what we do at E.C.I network. Okay, perfect. So now we can see my screen. It's ready to plug SONiC switch. This is our logo there. So ready to plug SONiC switch, including support. We provide switches, open networking switches, as Kamran mentioned. We have so many options out there, and we do provide them almost all. So we provide the proper switch, the proper scenario, the proper tour, and we work with Broadcom SONiC as well. So whether it's on the type of package that you will be looking at, the type of licenses that you're looking at, whether it's a cloud license, it's an enterprise data center license, or if it's a wiring closet or a campus license. So all supported within the Broadcom type of solution, and we provide those type of switches. When it comes to the configuration and installation, so we also in there. So whether the network design and architecture is complex or it's simple, we're going to be hand in hand with our customers, providing those type of solutions, irrelevant of the network speed, whether it's a 1 gig switch or a 400 gig switch, we'll be able to support the hardware, deliver it, support it, as well as the software running on top. We provide level 1 and level 2 support, the SONiC services. Level 3 get support service from the SONiC deployment. We have 8x5 support, and also we have 24/7 support. We have qualified engineers to do so, and to do the pre-staging, again, the hardware selection, also POC. So we do proof of concepts. If there is when you are as a customer not 100% sure about how to deploy this, we will give you, we will provide you with an engineer that will work with you on a proof of concept within your environment to test it in your lab, and then to actually install it in your network as a production switch. But we also provide training, because one of the questions that we had is how to handle the SONiC learning curve. We do provide SONiC training when needed, and we have a highly qualified trainer on SONiC, and we'll give you different options on the training. So we have depending on hours, sites. We have a lab ready for that. So we actually use actual equipment. We give you access to the equipment to run your own tests and training labs. So I don't know, I've received some, those are the questions that I had, and this is what I wanted to say in terms of SONiC support and services that E.C.I network can provide. With the partnership of Broadcom, we work hand in hand, as E.C.I will provide level 1 and level 2 support, and Broadcom will support the level 3 if needed. Any other questions so far? All right, I think we have 2 more minutes. If Kamran, you want to add anything, please do. So we have 2 more minutes left.
Yeah, I was looking at the questions. I think we answered all of them.
Yeah, just one question was the Maverick chipset, and we're gonna research that and come back to it. No problem there. All right. Well, I would like to thank you all for joining us today, all the time that you spend with us, and thank you for being interactive, all the questions that you asked. I hope that this was an informative type of presentation in terms of what E.C.I can do for you in terms of training and support, and in terms of the Broadcom SONiC. Kamran, thank you very much for this a very valuable presentation and valuable information that will help us and our customers and partners have a better understanding of SONiC and what it can do for their network. Thank you all, and I think we're due to close. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.